Who, if you could pick, who would be your dream opening DJ?
I would go with Floating Points.
I am Sam. I make music as Floating Points.
Music is not the only thing in your life, right? Dr. Sam Shepherd.
I need to make music to be happy.
That's why I tell myself, so I keep doing it. I really like I like being part of it. I mentioned earlier this year that I was writing a ballet, and this is the final score. It's a piece in 8 movements called Mere Mortals.
Sam is working right now in creating this score with his unique combination of electronic music, synthesizers, and of course, our own orchestra. I wanted to bring somebody really special into this mix of creatives.
When I lived in Manchester, and I've been doing jazz piano since I was 9 or something. I didn't really enjoy playing the piano for many years, and it's only until I sort of started getting a bit better at it, and I could start choosing the repertoire I was playing, and then I actually started to enjoy it. So that's the sort of ultimate freedom. It sort of goes from just reading the dots on the page to the piano becoming the extension of what you want to do. And actually that's when the record buying started, because where I lived in Manchester, I lived in kind of the city centre. The cheapest way for me to get hold of the music, and the only way actually, was the local record shops. This one was a friend of mine in Barcelona, Eva, showed me. She has a really wicked radio show on Dublab. I mean, this for me, it's just this one track on this record. Is really, really good, but it's phenomenal string lighting, and the strings are falling chromatically, but they're falling through like a phaser as well. It's like this cascade, like a waterfall of strings that are just descending chromatically, but also because they're going through this phaser, they're tumbling down, and I mean, you'll hear it. It's just so wicked, beautiful, and just a wild recording. Like when I was at uni, I'd go over to the States. I'd buy a ticket to Chicago with my student loan, and then figure out how to actually eat. And then go over and just buy as many records as possible, because it worked out so much cheaper, and discovered so much in that process of going to places, meeting people at record stores. I don't fetishize it in any way, but I do definitely enjoy the process of finding music, digging for music. This record is wicked. I love this.
Even songbirds seem more to sing. You're everything.
A lot of my friends went to music college, but I went to London for university to do a normal degree in pharmacology. And because my resources for like musicians around me had kind of evaporated a little bit, because I was just doing it at like an academic university, I was making way more electronic music just by myself. This is like my life setup at the moment, work in progress. And so it looks chaotic. It is at the moment. I am still trying to get my head around it as well. By very nature, it's just, very basic circuit boards that do very, very basic things that you then patch together to try and do things. So there's other oscillators here, there's white noise that sounds like this. And then there's other little blips. It's particularly difficult to get something that is so dry as a sort of current generating circuit board to actually produce something that is can be moving. it's so rare that I actually make music. You know, most of the time I'm just sort of experimenting with the equipment. And I feel like it's, you know, it's a process of learning the piece of equipment, just as a cellist would dedicate their life to making that instrument an extension of their expression of whatever it is that they're trying to convey. I feel like the same is true for any electronic instrument. The way I play a lot of music is actually like that. I sit with it for a long, long time, and then I'm just suddenly, they say nothing changes, but suddenly I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to put that out. And, you know, I wish I was a little bit faster with doing that, with deciding. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I think I need to live with it for a bit, you know, myself, before I'm happy for other people to hear it. So
It's reassuring. Yeah.
Check this out.
Keep it locked.
BBC Radio
6 Music. Right now, it's Marianne Hobbs' Friday Guest Mix.
yeah, I remember radio, like hearing old radio compression when my early records would be played on the radio, and I'd be like, this sounds way better than the way I hear it in my studio because of some gnarly BBC compressor that's just sucking the life out of it, but actually kind of giving it the sound of the show. They sounded like they were part of a community of records that were getting played, you know, and like, I guess that made me feel like, you know, helped me continue doing it. It's like, yes, it's part of something relevant.
What were the moments that made you want to start DJing?
I know we'll make it right. We've been here before.
When I moved to London, my friend Tom and I started a party in a venue called the Rhythm Factory on a Wednesday night. It was like a night for like a cancer charity, and it was quite successful actually. We raised quite a lot of money, and it was really good fun. And he would do the main room, him and Toby, and then me and my friends would do the other room.
Won't you give me sweetness and light for my restless mind?
But the people who gave me the confidence to like recontextualizing a lot of the records I had, but wouldn't ever think that I could play them in a dance situation, were people like Ade, Theo, and the other nights going on at Plastic.
Don't do that to me.
It's a total joy DJing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, it's really easy. Like, I go out there, I know my tunes, I love this music, and let's go, let's listen to it. But live is like, we were doing a US tour, we were looking for a place to stay. And this was a place I'd been to previously, and you know, it was obviously a very beautiful place. Whilst we were there, I would be going for a walk, and there'd be someone playing a guitar or something, and you'd hear the sound of the space that the guitar was playing in, and it was like something I'd never heard before. It was reverb, it was phase and delay and echo all in one go. But the magical thing was that as you turn your head and move like a half, you know, tiny distance, you'd hear a drastic change in the sound. This kind of was the beginning of like the idea of like we've got to record something here. We had a loop from one of our synthesizers playing this arpeggio out through a speaker out against a big formation of rocks, and we had a microphone set up there, and this was playing back into our ears. This was looping over and over and over, and this was kind of setting the scene for us sort of sonically, as well as being in this amazing surroundings. So I think the combination of those two things definitely inspired us.
When I first met you, you were studying your PhD in science, and is this you getting a bit of your fill of science with, you know, these sort of experiments that you're doing?
I mean, I guess I was doing science out of interest for it, and you know, having ideas about questions I'd like to answer, and then I guess the satisfying thing is sort of the process of answering that question and finding out the answers using technology, and I guess this is a similar thing in some respects, having an idea about, say, the parabolic microphone, thinking, can I pull apart a very specific area of this sound using this microphone? And that's, I guess, yeah, that's the fun, causing problems for myself and then try and solve them. No, I heard a crow. So I finished uni and then I worked for Cancer Research UK as like sort of working on clinical trial stuff. Whilst I was there, I applied for a PhD because I got really into like neurogenetics of pain. So I was interested in the peripheral sensory neurons that encode pain sensations and the DNA inside those single neurons and the way in which machinery works in those cells can be sort of modulated in pain states. And so we try and hijack that system therapeutically, hopefully to sort of find different ways of treating pain. It was a really great time. My professor, John Wood, he's an amazing guy who was very, very supportive of all my musical endeavours as well. So was always happy for me to run off on a Friday to Heathrow to go and do a gig. So I get a bit bored maybe just doing just electronics. There's so much more out there. Love working with other musicians that play acoustic instruments because they are so expressive, so expressive. And I really love writing the parts. I guess like my background is fairly classical and I understand sort of these principles of orchestration, but what I love doing is writing these parts often the night before in a panic and it being this sort of academic exercise. But the coolest thing is you take the parts down to the musicians, you give it to them, and then you go in the control room, whatever, and you sort of say, okay, here we go, and then they play it, and it's like, oh yeah, that sounds so good. That's so much better than how it sounded in my head. Always sounds better in real life. That, as a process, is like probably the most fun I have when recording, because you get to share that moment with other people as well. It's really, really nice.
Sam, thanks so much for allowing us into your world.
Yeah, thanks for coming down.
It's been fascinating.
I should have a better name. The Floating Points is really bad. But it was the name of a track I did when I was younger.
Okay.
It's actually a sort of way. It's a piece of software I used when I was young called Max MSP. It's a sort of nerdy sort of programming software, and there's a little things in there called the floating point numbers. So they're like numbers with decimal points and 5.6732. My understanding, I'm not a mathematician particularly. I think it's a way of a computer can describe a non-integral number, so a number with decimal point.